This week I got a double feature. But let's not waste any time. Let's just go with the first movie. As you can tell from the Christmas hat that I'm just wearing, I went to see The Grinch, the latest Illumination Studios animated film. I was kinda dreading this movie because I think that I got the firm belief to say that many Dr. Seuss properties shouldn't be a theatrical film. I did read some Dr. Seuss books when I was a kid. I saw a lot of the Chuck Jones short films, and they're wonderful. And well, How the Grinch Stole Christmas is one of them. It's still up to this day known as one of the most beloved animated classics. Then there is the Jim Carrey movie that came out years ago. I'm not so fond about this movie. I find this very mean-spirited and very ugly, so to speak. And now we got this one that it felt like the typical Illumination Studio mentality of cartooning, and they wanted to put this really awful hip-hop-ish remix of the "You're Mean One, Mr. Grinch" song. So you can tell that I was dreading this whole movie, and there are some other issues that the trailer made me dread this film. It's a good thing that I went through a little bit of an educated audience because the kids weren't too annoying. But the fact is this: I didn't came out hating this movie, but it is kind of a little bit on the tip of the iceberg of wanting me to hate this movie, because there are some things that did things passable. It's a little bit harmless, I can get that, but why this movie almost made me angry? Because it made the typical mistake when you always do a Dr. Seuss adaptation. And that is that those idiots who make the movies never get the point. They never get it. They never have to get the point. What makes those stories special? What makes their message special? The only thing that they see is that, oh, there's a story that we can commercialize it, and let's stretch it. Let's stretch it and let's make it entertaining for the family. I'm not saying that is bad, but it's apparently very proven that many of those Dr. Seuss properties is something that should be taken care of a little bit too fragile if you want to keep out the message. The best way I can say about The Grinch is that it had that element for something that could be a little bit more tolerable than the Jim Carrey one. But I digress. There's still some things that I do have to at least give it a slap under hand to saying, you messed this thing. You messed this thing. For the uninitiated, we all know that Dr. Seuss was a beloved children's book author who created some really bizarre but weirdly charming characters. One of his most beloved stories is none other How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which is basically the story of this green furry guy who lives with his dog, and he basically hates the celebration. There's no reason why he hates it. Many people say that is because is because his socks are too tight or anything. There's absolutely no reason. He just hates the celebration. He hates the noise. He hates the food. He just lives atop the mountain and watches the village of those people known as the Who's, who they always play around. They make noises, and he just doesn't like it. He just doesn't like it, and to the point that he decides one day that he's gonna steal it. He's gonna go on the night of Christmas, going down to the town. He's gonna steal all the presents, all the decorations, everything that it represents Christmas in a sort of term of commercialism, in order to, well, not only to get rid of the celebration, but also to prove the point that if it weren't for the presents and if it weren't for the decorations, then there wouldn't be no celebration. But to make a long story short, after he steals all the presents, decoration, food, and everything that are representative of Christmas, he just tries to get rid of it and wanted to hear the people crying, complain, and all this stuff. But much to his surprise, it didn't happen. Just that the good-natured people, they just begin to sing their song. They just welcome the whole day and find out that Christmas is not just about the celebration. It's just a time that you just decide to spend and be merry and all this stuff. And the other things are technically, well, secondary. And because of that, the Grinch changes his mind and he just decides that he wants to become part of it. So he returns the gifts and he gets welcomed to even participate on the feast. See? I can tell this story in a very short time. And much like the Ron Howard film, and in this new film, they just wanted to stretch it all up. But right now, let's concentrate on the recent movie, on the things that they did right and the things they did wrong. Like I said, the movie misses the point, mostly on the Grinch. Let's talk about a little bit on who was the guy who voices the Grinch this time. Well, I'm not gonna say that it's terribly bad. He doesn't feel like it kind of fits. He's voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch. He's known as Sherlock, but for me, he's mostly known as Doctor Strange. One of the biggest issues that this movie has, and I'll get to that right now, that even shows on the trailer, is that the movie is really afraid to be mean. And I mean that because this Grinch, he's so mean. I mean, I know that the Jim Carrey one was also mean, was overly too mean, but that's technically the beauty of this character. Well, not beauty, the mystery of this character. He's supposed to be an asshole. He's supposed to be a bully. He's supposed to hate everything because he just hates it. But in an attempt to humanize this character, they tried poorly to give a backstory. The Ron Howard movie did also this mistake. And this one, they did it again in a more cliche way, I will say. I said many times that I don't mind cliches, but this one, I have my issues. They wanted to make an issue saying that the guy is lonely. He feels was an orphan in the past, and that celebrating Christmas all around with people all around. This comes up as a problem when you want to characterize the Grinch. But here's the thing. I would have forgiven that if during the narration they didn't put the famous line that nobody knows why he is angry, and it could be because of his neck. It could be for his tight socks. No movie. You can't go both ways in this case. You can't do that. You can't tell me that nobody knows, but then give us something saying that we all know. Why? Because somebody else knows. The audience knows. And you know what? Sometimes you don't need a reason to make a character despicable. Sometimes characters are despicable just for the sake of being despicable. That's technically it. And speaking of despicable, isn't the purpose of the Grinch being despicable and mean? And let me tell you this, that this is the most less mean-spirited Grinch I have ever seen. This is, you know that it's always character. One of the best descriptions of the Grinch is saying that his heart is 2 or 3 times less its normal size. Well, I wouldn't say 3 times tiny or 2 times tiny. I'll say that it's just just one level tinier. Because man, that again, they missed the point of the Grinch. And most of it shows because instead of, I mean, there were some scenes in which he actually kind of acts genuinely mean, but it's most mean out of convenience. And when he just goes around grumping all around, he doesn't feel like he hates the celebration. He feels more, you feel mostly that he's just annoyed. It's kind of like, for example, when you go to the, when you're a little bit of a person with a little bit of a temper, let's say, you go on for a walk on Christmas, and because of your intelligence, you're overly annoyed by the commercialization of Christmas, saying, yeah, I know, nice, cool, but you're kind of a little bit bothering me. That's technically the attitude of what the Grinch has. But the biggest crime that this one has is that he's actually really too nice to his dog, Max. Although on a side note, I will say that probably the best part of the movie is Max. I gotta admit that the design of Max is adorable. He's so cute. I would like to have Max as a pet, and I'm not a dog person. But I say that his design is way better than those dogs from The Secret Life of Pets. I'll tell about that movie when it's due. But where's my issue with Max? The issue is that the Grinch is just too nice to him. I mean, in the other movie, even the Chuck Jones short, he's mean to him. He bullies him because he doesn't have a heart. Well, let's say that his heart is really tiny, and for someone whose heart is really tiny, he does have a very soft spot to the dog, and you might say that, dude, that's not technically the Grinch. The Grinch bullies the poor dog. And this is where I come to saying that this movie, and maybe the writer and the directors, they want to make this movie too family friendly or too PG or too PC, because they don't want to see dogs getting kicked, abused, or being in hard labor and something like that. I mean, who doesn't? He doesn't. We know it's not pretty to see, but still, that's the point of the Grinch. The Grinch is supposed to be mean. And speaking of which, the whole movie is just him and Max then coming up with a plan to steal Christmas, and they go into this Looney Tunes style planning of how to do it, like surveys and all this stuff. Even Max going along, in which kind of makes me think, is the dog stupid or smart or something like that, or he's kind of too loyal or too Stockholm syndrome. Oh, but wait, that Grinch treats him a lot better than anyone else. So go along, let's say. And they have also this subplot in which they captured this reindeer, and he sets it free for the family almost at the end, just to make room for the real plot of the Grinch Stole Christmas. See what I mean? He's not that mean. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. And even a kid just saying, you're a mean one, just to yeah, just wink, give us a wink saying that, hey, we know part of the song. The Chuck, oh. There's also a little bit of a gag in which the Grinch has some encounter with this really overjoyed bearded guy who, two things about this guy, who is kind of like technically the Who's version of the happiest man in the world. First of all, this bearded guy, at first I was trying to pinpoint my mind. I know that I heard this voice before. And to my surprise, he's voiced by Kenan Thompson. And I was like, oh, jeez. But the way he talked, which is my second thing, he kind of, I kind of convinced that this guy is somehow related to the gay guy from Frozen, the one who runs the hot sauna. I'm pretty convinced that these two are related. So who I am missing now? Oh yeah, another important character of the Grinch story, Cindy Lou Who. I gotta admit that she's one of the most adorable characters I have seen in both the book, the Boris Karloff version, the Chuck Jones version. The Ron Howard part, I will say that the girl who played Cindy Lou is probably one of the most passable things I can say for this movie. This one, I could say that they gave her kind of like a subplot, which it involves her trying to capture Santa Claus because she wants to ask him personally that she wants her to find a way to give her mom a break, and because she is getting concerned that her mother worked so hard with taking care of them, the job and all this stuff. And she even recruited a group of friends in order to help her out. And in a way, it feels it feels like this is kind of jumping into a complete different movie. They just did it to just pad it out. And I gotta be honest that I kind of like this subplot a bit. It's simple, and I know it's kind of cliche, but in a way, I thought that, you know what, maybe this could have been the movie. Maybe instead of, we could have a movie about children trying to capture Santa Claus in order to make a very sincere wish. I mean, you could have done with that with the movie, but instead they just decide, oh, you have this? Well, let's mix it up. Let's add the Grinch. Yeah, the Grinch is marketable. Everybody knows the story. And that's technically what they did. It doesn't necessarily think that it kind of ruins the movie, although but yeah, I'm beginning to see a lot of some of the cynicism that this movie wants to do just for cheap laugh, and not taking in consideration that people who watch this, that they're passionate people who overanalyze this movie and even overanalyze the story and see the point that it is. When some things deviate from what it was supposed to be, I can't lie that I was kind of cringing, and it was like, oh man, you missed the point. Oh yeah, and sometimes we get montages of some hip hop, and those hip hops are awful. This is how you ruin a movie also. When you put really hip-hop-ish songs, kind of like a retardation of a beloved song that is just so simple, and you just want to catch to modern audiences by being so hip with that rap or hip-hop or whatever you want to call it. Why not make a remix? But I'm not against remix, let's say, but a remix should be a little bit, on tone. I mean, a little bit. I wouldn't mind if it was even heavy metal, I will say, but as long as it feels like it has a flow, or not like a bunch of boomboxy like. I know I might sound like a little bit of a guy with a personal taste. But for something that is universally acclaimed, like the story of the Grinch, how the Grinch stole Christmas, you're gonna have to take a little bit care on that thing. So yeah, technically, what I was saying is that this whole movie it's just this bundle of events that happen just to pad out the movie with some Looney Tunes shenanigans. Some of the pratfalls I kind of go a little bit, I give a snicker out of it. I don't know if it's a pity snicker, but still in my mind it's like, okay, get to the point. And that is during the climax in which it finally happened. And I was kind of afraid that this moose/deer thing is never gonna be used. Oh, I forgot to mention another nitpick that please people, this running gag of this goat doing that is getting old. The Geico goat yell. So please stop it unless you want to put a spin out of it. Okay, okay, so I was talking about the climax where he finally steals Christmas. And honestly, this is the part that I can see where could this story will have gone on being good. Because let's face it, like, is the bright color, the animation, everything, it looks good. And when it reaches that part, it feels cool. Although I will say that the ending, it feels a little bit like an extended edition of the movie. Let's say, or extended edition of the ending. I don't have too much issues out of it, but although I heard a reviewer that it has a valid points on why the ending doesn't feel earned. And I agree, but I'll let you guys come up with commenting why it works and why it doesn't. In the end, I have enough reasons why I want to dislike this movie, but I think worse things to give this movie a little bit of a rental pass. If you want me to be, well, nice. I'm sorry, but there are still aspects of me that it does feel like a little bit Grinchy towards Christmas. And again, for no good reason sometimes. And this is what the movie needed. It needed a little bit more mean-spiritedness in order to capture the message that the story has. But they botch it because they just want to give a backstory and some kindness on the Grinch. But they gave him a little bit too much kindness. I mean, even in the Jim Carrey film, as much as I despise this version, there were the moments in which he has some genuine kindness, he does it really, really reluctantly. Although in the Jim Carrey version, he overacts a lot. Well, what do you get? Jim Carrey is kind of too overacted on that one. So, personally, it is hard to... If you're gonna ask me, so which version do you want? The Illumination Studios or the Ron Howard film Studios? I will prefer the Boris Karloff one. This one at least was short, and it get to the point, and it captured the whole thing. Oh, and by the way, many people always say that, yeah, Dr. Seuss is about the Grinch and all this stuff. But I encourage you to watch the other Dr. Seuss shorts made by Chuck Jones. I mean, there's Cat in the Hat. There's another Grinch story that is separate, kind of like a spin-off, which it involves which is called I don't know what was I remember. Scary Night, the Grinch Scary Night. You know what? I'll put it here. That was just a little bit slow, but it has moments that it has some great imagery. But yeah, technically, technically studios they're still not afraid to find ways to commercialize Dr. Seuss. Although I kind of wish that instead of doing longer formats, why don't they try short formats? I think that the Illumination Studio version of the Grinch could have worked a little bit better if it was shorter, or make it a short film. If you got stuck on, if Coco got stuck with that lame Olaf short for 22 minutes, I think that we will be a little bit more forgiving if it was a 22 short film of the Grinch, because at least that one is short and we can see something. But now that I think of it, you weren't going for that. So forget what I said. It's just a stupid idea I spewed out of my mouth. That's technically it. So, do I recommend the new version of The Grinch? Not exactly, but I know that you will watch it. I know that many people will go because they know that it's iconic, and no matter how they don't get the message, or they don't get the point, they're still saying that, oh, pretty, oh, it's The Grinch, let's go watch it. You're gonna hate it if you kind of respect the what it meant to be. My answer is yes. You might gonna hate it, but again, I've seen worse this year, so this is why I'm a little bit forgiving. But still, I have a big bone to pick, and that big bone, whew, doesn't it kind of shows that it's not always green on the other side of the pasture.